Um, what have we missed on the bottom tier here? Divine Guardian, which causes your raid to take reduced damage, so it's like a protective cooldown. Probably worth taking.
Fairly useful, fairly useful.
Vindication,
Vindication,
which is a tank, another one of these things which you take as a tank debuff to reduce physical damage done by your primary target. So Death Knights have got this on their Blood Boil. Warriors have got it somewhere else, I think, as well. And I guess Feral Druids would as well. I guess we'll see if we look at that tree. You kind of have to take it.
yeah.
Okay, and then we've got Sacred Duty. Your judgments have a 50% chance of making your next Shield of Righteous a critical strike. So that is fairly uninteresting.
Wow.
It's something that will proc and you'll press it. It doesn't reset the cooldown or give you any extra holy power. Maybe something this deep should give you some extra holy power or some sort of chance, because currently the proc rotation is very stale.
Yeah, you do have little gaps in which there's a global cooldown which you're not doing anything at all as proc. But I quite like that talent. I quite like it. I mean, it lasts 15 seconds, that buff. And when you're generating holy power using Hammer of the Righteous, I mean, it takes, not 12.5 seconds or something? Was it 13.5 seconds? Do the maths. 13.5 seconds to gain the 3 holy power. So you've got that time and a global cooldown in which to use Sacred Duty. So even if it procs immediately after you've already burned through all your holy power, you've got enough time to generate 3 holy power and then get the proc.
That's true.
And use it and get that crit shield.
It's still pretty close. It's cutting it a bit close.
I think it's useful.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue it's so deep in prot. You would have thought, you'd have something a bit more powerful. But still, we'll see. I mean, could be a lot of damage.
See.
That crit
Shield of the Templar is just a cooldown reduction of Avenger's Shield, Guardian of the Ancient Kings, and Avenging Wrath.
Yeah, but look at that. Reduces Guardian of the Ancient Kings by 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Yeah, so it's now on a 2-minute cooldown.
It's amazing. Amazing.
Which is quite a big deal. I haven't talented it yet, but a 2-minute cooldown for a 60% damage shield for 12 seconds is a shield wall, and it's a nice shield wall. Very nice shield wall. And the final talent is actually another cooldown. And it's actually got the effect of having the priest spell on it now, Ardent Defender. What's that priest spell that stops you from dying? The Angel Wings?
Is it just called like Guardian Spirit or Guardian? Yeah, I think
Guardian something. Anyway, it's got that, so while it's active you can't get... Well, you avoid one killing blow kind of thing. Which is very cool.
It's a nice oh shit button.
It is a very nice oh shit button.
You're about to die, instead you get healed up to 15% of your health, and then you've got reduced damage for a few more seconds, enabling the healers to get off their fucking asses and press button.
So, I mean, once you've gone this far down,
it's good,
you can elect to choose what are basically damage abilities from the other lines. So at the bottom of Holy, you've got critical chance of judgment. You don't have Templar's Verdict because that's a ret ability. Casting a targeted heal on anyone will also heal yourself. Arguably, that's not very much, and I don't really know.
Well, the thing is, if you're going to go for those Word of Glory talents, that could be quite useful to have, because that would be on top of your Word of Glory healing.
I think, though, that one Word of Glory every 13.5 seconds for what is going to be an extra 4,000 heal is not worth 3 talent points.
No.
The other one, Judgments of the Pure, increases your melee haste by 9% when you judge. which is a very good threat talent. So I don't know about that. On the Ret side, of
But then we've
course.
got arguably better ones over there on
Yeah,
Ret.
on the Ret side, Eye for an Eye is a PvP talent, really. All magic attacks against you have a 20% chance to cause 30% of damage taken back to the attacker. I mean, it's likely that that won't actually cause any threat on your main target. It might be helpful on boss mobs, but it's going to be a small amount of damage, and it is going to be, not threat. So it's kind of a PvP ability, really. I think that's right, isn't it? I might be wrong there.
I'm not entirely certain whether it works in PvE. And if it does work in PvE, then the damage isn't coming from you. It's just the mobs damaging themselves, essentially. But we'll have to see what it's like on live, how it actually works out.
The other talent buffs your damage of Hammer the Righteous and Crusader Strike by 30%.
Crikey.
You don't have 10 plus Verdict or Holy Shock because they're the Ret and Holy exclusive ones. So that's a pretty big. You're going to hit a lot of Hammer the Righteouses, so it's a big buff. I think you kind of need that. The other one is you've got this improved judgment in that tree. Now, it's always nice to have range on judgments, but you're pulling with Avenger's Shield anyway, aren't you? So,
you've also got Exorcism as well that you can use for
judge range,
which will have a casting time, but for pulls, it's fine to use.
It's quite a lot of mana though for prot. 7k mana. Out of 24k pool. So I don't know whether you'd really want to use Exorcism as a prot paladin. I think it's supposed to be now like the Ret thing, the Ret instacast thing, Exorcism. So we'll have to put 2 points in there. And I mean, Rule of Law is the one which is interesting in the tier 2 Ret that you might want, because that increases the critical chance effect of Crusader Strike and Hammer of the Righteous. So it is both of them. And Word of Glory,
which you love.
And arguably you might be using your Word of Glory.
You love Word of Glory so much. Why don't you marry it?
I'd be tempted to I'd be tempted to take like points out of something. I don't know what you take points out of to get that extra. But it's difficult. There's a lot of it's difficult because we've actually got a tree here where we kind of want a lot of things, whereas I think previously we've been struggling to find good things that we want. There's a lot of good stuff here. I'll just go with this for now. So with glyphs, I mean, there's no actually glyphs that really increase your tank ability or survivability. You've got Hammer of the Righteous, increase of damage. You've got Shield of the Righteous, increase of damage. You've got Judgment, increase of damage. And I can't really see any other tanking glyphs.
There is. Glyph of Seal of Truth gives you expertise. The question is that going to be the seal that you use as a tank?
Possibly. I don't know. I assume so.
Possibly.
Well, that would be good, because that would mean you can use less expertise on your gear and put more tanking stats on there. You can do that with Rune Forging. Not Rune Forging. What's that new thing called? Where you go to that Night Elf and he changes your stats.
I thought it was called Rune Forging.
No, Rune Forging is the Death Knight thing, where you put a rune on your sword with a forge.
What the hell is it called? Gear messing arounding.
I think
like
so.
that.
It's that guy. Oh, it's called something. Fuck. We should really find out what it's called.
Well, I think the guy's just like... He's just over there somewhere. Just go and speak to him. Maybe he would tell you. I don't know. Reforging. Is that it? Just reforging?
Oh, reforging.
Good effort.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I knew it was something like something forging. Thank you. So...
You're welcome, friend.
Major glyphs. I mean, I've got Consecration in, which increases the duration and cooldown of Consecration. So it actually makes it up. Its uptime is actually less overall.
Right.
So it's instead of being 30-second cooldown and 10-second, it's 36-second cooldown and 12 seconds. So it's up for 4 seconds less. But it lasts 2 seconds longer. So arguably it's much for muchness. I don't really think it's any good.
Yeah.
But the other glyphs, I mean,
Strange, isn't it?
I don't know whether you will be using Divine Plea very often, because I have found you get a lot of mana from everyone else. But again, it depends
Oh,
on
you'd be
what abilities you're using.
surprised.
Oh yeah.
You'd be fucking surprised.
Um,
I mean, it's so easy to mismanage your mana, and if you've got such a small mana pool, I mean, it can just be fucking gone before you know what the hell's going on. So you end up hitting that Divine Plea.
I suppose it's probably worth.
I mean,
I'd rather have that than
the thing is,
concentration, to be honest.
Yeah, Divine Plea. I mean, it isn't an awful. I mean, it's only 10% of your mana. It's a tiny amount. So, I mean, any buff to that is fairly useful.
The other things, I mean, they're 2 changes to your shield. So your Avenger Shield now dazes, or your Avenger Shield only hits 1 target but harder. And I've actually got that in at the moment. So Avenger Shield, this is kind of the single target boss glyph for threat. I suppose if you're going to go into an instance where you have to have a lot of crowd control, having the Avenger Shield randomly bouncing around is not ideal. But
well, it shouldn't hit targets that are CC'd. It shouldn't hit them.
No, so it's intelligent. But there's not really much else, though. I mean, increases your Hammer of Justice range by 5 yards. Increases mana cost of Hammer of Wrath.
That is pretty fucking useful, actually. That is fucking useful. Because Hammer of Justice has got such a short bloody range, and so many times I've seen a mob or a player, and he's there, and I can see him. He's within melee range. I'm like swinging my weapon. I want to stun him in place. I can see that my little icon of Hammer of Justice. It's not greyed out. It's bright. It's light. It's active, and I'm pressing like E or whatever I've got it bound to. I'm spamming it. And the fucker, it just won't go off. It just won't go off because that bugger is ever so slightly out of range. It's like that difference in latency between, you know, my client and his client and the server. He's ever so slightly out of range. So that glyph, I mean, my god, that's going to stop a lot of paladins from tearing their hair out.
Okay.
End rant. The minor glyphs aren't even worth talking about because they are just the biggest, boringest pieces of shit, pretty much. The exception being the Lay on Hands glyph. Reduces cooldown by 2 minutes. Everything else is just, you know, cheaper seals or cheaper blessings. That's it. Cheers, Blizz. Cheers!
So, I mean, the basic idea is you judge, you start hitting with Shield of the Righteous, and you slowly get your power up. In the meantime, you cast Avenger's Shield, you judge, and you pop down Consecration if you want to. And then when you've got 3... Oh, okay, Grand Crusader proc there. That's a free Avenger's Shield. When you've got 3, you've got full Holy Power. You can choose what you want to do. So, I can either heal myself with Word of Glory, and that's actually given me... procced Holy Shield, and it's given me a damage shield of that, which was like 13k. Or you can do the other thing. But you can do the other thing, which is Shield of the Righteous, which I'll try and hit you with now. Okay, well, I mean, as you can see, this is a pretty slow rotation, and when we get onto the Retri, which we're going to have a look at now, it's much more fast and frantic and furious. Obviously, I'm not pressing all the buttons on their cooldown, but I mean, if you're going to press, you know, Avenger's Shield, and you're going to go Consecration, then you're going to Judge, you can pop another one, then you're going to go Shield of the Righteous, and you're going to go Avenger's Shield. It's quite like fun, but Ret is way more complicated. We'll have a look at that now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. See you on the other side.